And another thing, I feel like I had to say this on the last few days of Black History Month. And if you know me, I don't particularly subscribe to Black History Month. Not because I don't believe that there's a Black history or that it's not valuable. I just don't believe in relegating ourselves to a month. But sometimes when these things occur, it does allow me to lean into a theme. So, my theme for this Black History Month is that I feel like the Black community, for lack of better words, I don't like that term either, but we go in there. We disregard our scholars too quickly. I'm just looking at the books that I have right here. We disregard our Black scholars and historians too quickly. A lot of times we dismiss and diminish their work and put it into the lane of conspiracy theory when the reality is that a lot of their information is found invalid because it just doesn't meet the European standards of scholarly research, and let's be real, the that standard and that backing and that expectation, these scholars are not going to get that backing because they are teaching something that is, contrary to the system, so of course the backing is not going to be there, so they will never meet those measurements. But I feel like we need to radically, ooh, look crazy. We need to radically embrace some of these teachings that are coming from our Black scholars, our Black historians, even our Black occult teachers. I think that we need to radically embrace these teachings, and not out of a sense of like, oh God, they're misleading us, but out of a sense of we have been radically taught in a history that is deeply whitewashed, that deeply diminishes and shrinks who we perceive ourselves to be. So in an attempt to counterbalance that, I think we need to like radically Nubian wash our shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's melanin wash our shit. And fall into that. We was kings like that. Hey, how harmful is it to say we were kings? Especially when we were taught, and we've only been taught that we were less, we were nothing. Like I think we were kings is a good place, a good way to find that middle ground. And we have a lot of worthwhile scholars. Okay, we're gonna talk about. I got my books. I'm looking at Sheikh Anta Diop, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Bobby Hemmett. Don't play with Bobby Hemmett. I don't like the way y'all be doing Bobby Hemmett. Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blair. I personally love the teachings of the more science, the more science temple. And I'm not this when I say I like the teachers, not that I agree with everything, but I like the way they teach history. And if you want to understand a little bit about some of that, how they teach history, if you ever seen Hidden Colors, a lot of that is very similar to what is taught in the Moorish Science Temple when it comes to history and learning and seeing myself and seeing history through a Nubian lens has done wonders for my self-esteem and my sense of self and my knowing and my trusting in of my ability of like, I know I can be what I want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not just seeing myself or seeing us as one thing. So I think that it's really important that we radically, like I said, melanin wash our history just to bring the balance. I don't like how we have allowed exterior culture to infiltrate our culture and demonize and say what we're doing and demonize it. And there's a lot of stuff that we're doing, like specifically these terms right here, Hotep. Okay, Hotep was taken and demonized as meaning someone who is overly righteous. It's definitely a negative connotation, and maybe I'm offensive because I'm a moderate Hotep probably. But it definitely has a negative connotation where ultimately my understanding of Hotep is really meant to mean peace. And let's say that's wrong. Let's say that that's a lie and Hotep doesn't mean peace. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. But if we assign the meaning of peace to it, then that's what it is. But as opposed to us agreeing and assigning that meaning of peace, we have allowed this exterior culture to take that name, diminish it, say it's like some kind of radical black, and then give it back to us, and now we use it against ourselves. The same thing with woke. Woke was a beautiful phrase. It's a beautiful phrase created by a beautiful, amazing black woman. You know, I'm on this woke train. Georgia Ann Muldrow, that was the first person I ever heard say woke. Back in 2008, she got a song about it, talk about being woke. I never heard about it until she did it. And then once again, somehow mainstream got hold of it. They took it, they demonized it, and then they gave it back to us to use on ourselves as a derogatory phrase or statement or ideology, like being woke. Like, what the hell's wrong with being woke? You know what I'm saying? Like, being aware, of being knowledgeable, of having a consciousness, like, and they woke. Like, that's okay, yeah. I'd rather be that than sleep, outside of nap time. So, like I said, I think that just an attempt to balance what we have been giving, what we have been given, what we have accepted. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and how quickly and willing we are to diminish our our scholars. I have this great book here because I mentioned a lot of the male scholars and stuff, but we have some women scholars too. Jewel Pookrum, if you ever heard of Jewel Pookrum, this is a great book. The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire by Drusilla Dungy Houston. And this book was written in the 20s by a black woman and just talking about the ancient origins of original people. There are documents of people saying that, Ivan Sertima talking about they came before Columbus, how Africans found, were in already in the continents, how they already knew how to sail the ocean by going around the doldrums. And there's multiple scholars that teach that, and there are even some European scholars that teach that. If you are willing to do the research and consider. But like I say, I feel like we just so quickly dismiss our black scholars because they probably, one, they're teaching something contrary to what we were given all our lives. That's very uncomfortable. And a lot of times when they start um, approaching, addressing Christianity or blatantly address Christianity, then it makes everything like, oh God, no, let's say Christianity or religion in general, because that is a touchy subject, understandably. I know I've had multiple my own personal gripes and challenges with religion. And this side, you see I'm messing with this side, it's so poofy. I've had my own challenges with religion, and had to look at it and reestablish my relationship with religion and spirituality after I was introduced to just different ideologies that made me look deeper and consider deeper, or consider in a different way. And like I never aim to diminish anyone's beliefs or ideals, but I also don't like when mine are diminished or others are diminished, especially when the intent is to really like uplift or look with a different view and a different lens. And I mean, we really need to stop looking at our life and our history through a European lens. I mean, and that's what it is ultimately. It's been that, it be that. It's still happening. There's still works and efforts being made to make that lens even more, wide, and cut our sight out, our insight out. So I just think that it's really important that we don't just dismiss our scholars as conspiracy theorists. Like, it's like every ideology it gets chopped up to conspiracy theory. Like, as soon as y'all watch Bobby Hemmett, that nigga crazy. And Bobby Hemmett is crazy, but he is the best kind of crazy, man. Would I tell you, that's like my long lost uncle, the best kind of crazy you can ever come across. And because it's just so challenging and it's very uncomfortable, a lot of the stuff that he talks about. And but it's like, if you're gonna dismiss Bobby Hemmett, then I'm looking here. I got a book by Carter G. Woodson. You know what I'm saying? I think Carter G. Woodson is the person that actually started Black History Month, if I'm correct. Carter G. Yeah, I took African American Studies in college, and my my professor was an African professor, and he was very knowledgeable, of African American history more than we were as students, clearly. And he loved Carter G. was his dude. He always used to talk about Carter G. Woodson, but I just feel like there's so many books and opportunities for you to read, even just for consideration. Not that you have to read and accept, not that you have to subscribe to this ideology, but it's like we're so willing to read and accept everybody else's ideology. And a lot of it was just forced on us. Like those history books, we didn't have a choice. Did nobody ask us if we wanted to read the Ivan Van Sertima book instead of this history book that says that we only was, and our history only starts with the transatlantic slave trade. Like it's a lot of rich history of original people, of Nubian people, of new autochthonous people that existed um, prior to that trade, and prior to like even the Americas. But even in the Americas, there is a rich history of original, of melanated people that could very well look a lot like me, your grandmama Manil, and that look like us, That's why I be getting really frustrated when I be watching like what's that show, the Henry Louis Gates joint, where he does all of his history. And once again, I'm not diminishing or sinking that, but he always, when people say that they got quote unquote Indian in their family, for lack of better words, and he always dismisses it. It's just like, my theory is that the reason you're not finding a lot of quote unquote Native American blood is because the Indian that they have in their family are African tribes that were already here. And a lot of those teachings suggest that, the Ivan Van Sertima suggests that. So if those markers are not going to look the same as the Native American markers. I don't even want to go into that too deep because I my fake ass anthropologist. I'm a fake anthropologist. I don't know all the shit. I can admit that. But I've done a lot of reading. I've done a lot of research. And it, at the very least, has made me consider beyond what I was taught in school and beyond what is taught and fed and enforced in society. So, I mean, if there are any books or suggestions that you want, any place to start, let me know. Let me know where you at with it, because I can tell you somewhere real radical to go, or I can tell you somewhere that's a little more calm and tempered and a little more putting your toe in the water. Or we could take it there, okay? We could go with Dr. Umar, okay? Because y'all be trying to play Dr. Umar too, but y'all love his memes. Y'all love his memes. That's what Dr. Umar do. You love his memes. 5-5 and thick in the thighs. 5-5 donations, gifts. But you know what I'm saying? That's even a great example, because Dr. Umar has been he's been put to only be a meme person a lot of times. But in this, he be saying some wild shit, I will not deny. But Dr. Umar he's an educated man, and a lot of stuff that he says and that he teaches has a lot of validity. I used to go to his lectures back in the day when he first started trying to get to school. And I didn't like everything he said. I'm not gonna front, but I took away what was good and what worked, and I built on that, and I gathered more information and got my research from that. So that, that's sort of my example. Like, you don't have to accept everything that you're given. You don't have to take everything that you get from these scholars as law, but at least consider them and glean something that's worthwhile and usable for you, because I guarantee they all have something that is greatly valuable and usable. But a lot of times we don't even give them that opportunity. Like, you know what I'm saying, if you're doing your papers and do you use these books as resources? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I be listening to a lot of shows and stuff. There's one specific show that I really like, and they be talking about a lot of this type stuff, and it's a comedy show, so I don't hold it to such a high bar. But a lot of times when they bring up some of these ideologies that come from these scholars, or they bring up these scholars, they really just like dismiss them and act like, and I'm like, yo, this is your people. At least don't do that, public. Like, I just don't like how quickly they're dismissed and diminished. And like I said, maybe some of that is coming from me being a moderate Hotepper. and I don't take that as a negative. I take it as a person that is, Hotep, like, because that's the terminology that is used in an attempt to like be derogatory. But I don't think it's derogatory, because I look at it as a peace seeking person. And the irony is, after doing all that extreme Nubian melanin washing of history for myself, which was, many years ago that I really was deep into this stuff, deep, 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 deep. After doing it, the need for that ideology or to be that extreme just washed away from me. Like, when I say that extreme, is like, I don't need to know that. I don't need to be the first. We was the first to do this. Da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be that now, because I feel like whatever I did or we do, it just can't be touched. It can't be diminished or lessened because someone else did it first or whatever. Like, our dopeness is solidified. Whether we were the first or the eighth, or you know what I'm saying, or something, or something that we never did, whether we discovered it or whether we built the pyramids or we just put the hieroglyphs on, or we ain't had shit to do with it but just taking fly ass pictures, whatever you know what I'm saying, whatever the shit is. Once we came in the building and put our impact on it, the value was added. And a lot of stuff we were we did do first, and we were there first. But I don't have to have that type of validation anymore, because I feel like that extreme, those extreme versions or those extreme polarizations of history has brought me balance. And I just feel validated. I feel like our culture is validated. And I think a lot of some of the infighting that we experience, specifically from people of the diaspora, is because they don't realize that the realization of that is not there. It's like, ain't nothing to fight about. We did this first, and I seen somebody fight about. They said what they said, that UK people was wearing the Nike tech suits first. Oh, okay, shit, what the fuck? Who cares? Yeah, we was technically in the South. We was technically wearing Timberlands. Oh, okay, cool. Now we, what the hell we fight about? Like, it's fly wherever it's. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, what are we infighting about that? Like, the dopeness is there wherever it be, and I don't know if I'm closing with anything that makes sense, but the end of the sentence is coming. Period. Let it be known, and that's my point, and that is my message for the end of Black History Month. Close shines out. Peace. Blah.